Well, happy Tuesday morning, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my Morning Musings. We're in the midst of responding to David Hester's 23 arguments that he presented in machine gun, shotgun fashion in our recently completed formal public debate, July 14th through the 16th here in Ardmore, Oklahoma, at our annual Preterist Pilgrim Weekend. By the way, you can watch that debate and you can watch the entire seminar that was held here. Just go to eschatology.org, just right at the top of the page. The raw footage is posted there for you to watch. Go to BibleProphecy.com. It's there as well. So I'm taking a look at those arguments, and let me reiterate this, folks, because anyone at all familiar with formal public debate knows that one of the oldest debaters' tricks is to get up there and just present, argument after argument after argument after argument, so many arguments that your opponent has no possibility whatsoever, to address each point, and then you get back up and you say, see, my opponent did not answer my arguments. He couldn't answer my arguments, therefore he knows he's a false teacher. That is exactly and precisely what David Hester did. Again, anyone even remotely familiar with public debate knows that that is nothing but a ploy. And really, honestly, it proves nothing at all. It takes for granted, for instance, when David Hester presented 23 syllogistic arguments, it takes for granted that the major premise and the minor premise are valid and true without proving them. Let me illustrate with David Hester's argument number 5. He appealed to Jude, where Jude said, "Behold, the Lord comes with his saints. He comes with 10,000 of his saints." And David Hester says, "See, Preston, when did Jesus come with 10,000 of his saints?" David Hester didn't see that. Therefore, it hasn't happened. Now, the presupposition, unproven, unsubstantiated, with not a word of exegesis, is that Jude was describing a literal, visible event that was to take place at the so-called end of time. But did he offer one syllable of proof to prove that it is a literal, visible event? Did he offer a syllable of proof that it's talking about the so-called end of time? Why, no. He just said, Jude says, "Behold, he come with 10,000 of his saints." It hasn't happened, therefore Preston is wrong. And he challenged me, "Preston, when did Jesus come with his saints?" Well, this is one of those arguments I did not have the time to fully respond to, but let me offer you the following. Traditionally, and I use that word in quotation marks because not every single person did, but traditionally, in the churches of Christ, Zechariah chapter 14 is viewed as a prediction of the coming of the Lord in AD 70. That's right. The city shall be taken, the women ravaged, people carried off captive. And the Lord comes with all of his saints. Zechariah 14 and verse 5. Now again, catch the power of the fact that historically, in the churches of Christ, that passage has been applied to the coming of the Lord in AD 70. By the way, just as a quick historical fact, Eusebius, 4th century church historian, believed and taught the same thing. Okay, so what do we have here? David Hester gets up, cites Jude, behold, he comes with 10,000 of his saints. Preston, when did that happen? Zechariah 14, history of the churches of Christ. Here is Jesus coming with his saints. AD 70. answer to David Hester's question, when did Jesus come with his saints? In AD 70. Now, watch this. David Hester applies Matthew 24, 29 and following to the coming of the Lord in AD 70. Well, what does Matthew 24 teach? Immediately after the tribulation of those days, they shall see the Son of Man coming. Oh, wait. What does it say? Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened. The moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven will be shaken. David Hester applies that to AD 70. David Hester, did you see the sun being darkened, the moon not giving its light, the stars falling from heaven? Did you see that? Well, wait a minute. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. He will send his angels. Well, if the angels didn't come with him, how does he send them? This is Zechariah 12 to 14, actually, being fulfilled. Where does David Hester apply it? AD 70. So David Hester gets up, completely divorces Jude from Zechariah, divorces it from Matthew 24, and says, there, see? And all that we've seen is David Hester's Humpty Dumpty hermeneutic at work, in which he acknowledges apocalyptic, prophetic language in Matthew 24 and probably in Zechariah in application to AD 70, and then, without so much as a syllable of evidentiary proof, divorces Jude from that and says, there, see, I've proven my case. Folks, that is what you call Humpty Dumpty hermeneutic. Number one, he offered us no evidence, no support, no proof that Jude is about a coming of the Lord at the end of time. And then he completely divorces Jude's prediction from the Old Testament predictions of the coming of the Lord with his saints that applied to AD 70 according to the traditional view of the churches of Christ. Boy, yeah, that, folks, is Humpty Dumpty hermeneutic. Hey, look, if you want more on Zechariah 14 and its application to AD 70, go to my website, eschatology.org or bibleprophecy.com. Order my book, Who Is This Babylon?, in which I document that throughout history, commentators have applied Zechariah 14 to AD 70. Mention, when you order the book, mention that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. And boy, we've got more on David Hester's Humpty Dumpty hermeneutic on the flip side. So we'll see you there.